talk so much about demographic dividend and skill gap, etc. I work as a voluntary teacher in government schools. So it was my personal feeling that most of the children are quite capable like any other private school children, but the language or the medium of instruction, which is English, is a big hindrance to them. So I feel that is probably putting them off from the, actually aspiring for the big colleges, all the main things in the society. So probably the importance of language English is less understood or given less importance, and because most children do well in subjects like mathematics, but somehow they are scared or fear all the other sciences, social studies, etc., humanities, because that maths requires least amount of English. And also a lot of children push themselves into mathematics or something, even though they are not really aligned or capable of that, thinking that that is the only, they have to somehow become an engineer or something, and then they are set. But as Mr. Sharath Garu was saying, that then they'll probably end up as being a B grade or a C grade engineer. So this education right from first grade, where they can be skilled or trained into other things, whatever technical courses or whatever, that importance also is probably less given, is what I find now.
No, absolutely. I think it is like the B grade engineer is not B grade because of capability. It's an A grade capable person with lack of interest becomes a B or C grade. So, well, any comments on that? It's not an easy problem to solve. Especially go to rural government schools. We're working with some NGOs trying to build technology for rural government schools. So there's some first-person understanding in a small microcosm. But any thoughts on that?
No, you hit the nail on the head, right? So I'll just tell you the pain point. So I'm a native Kannada speaker and I can speak English as well. And I can express my thoughts fairly fluently. I can get across a concept. But when I went to Germany, it was such a pain to try to get across a concept in German. It would almost seem like I'm less intelligent or dumber because I'm not able to get that concept across because I don't speak that language fluently. So imagine the pain point of a child who's learnt in Telugu, is fluent, who understands the problem which you're talking to him about. He's got a solution to it, but he can't express it to you in English. That is such a pain point and it hurts so much. You absolutely hit the nail on the head, and I feel while we do want to retain our regional identities and all of these values, I think it has to get to a stage where a universal English medium of education is necessary now in the global context. Because let's say I read a question. I read the question in English. I need to translate it into my language, find an answer to it, translate it back into English and express it. You're going through unnecessary 2 or 3 steps, whereas your thought process, if it is in the language in which you're going to express it,
much
makes
faster.
It so much simple for you, makes it much faster. So I think children who are in tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities have a couple of disadvantages. One, I would say, is the word ecosystem. Once again, a very cliche word to use, ecosystem. Because if you come to a tier 1 city, if you come to Hyderabad, if you go to Chennai, if you go to Bangalore, if you go to Cochin, you're going to have a certain standard of education. You're going to have a certain standard of healthcare. And if you look at the average pay, I think urban India earns 5 times as much as rural India. So earning 5 times less means you're going to be given less preference in education. You're going to be given less preference in healthcare. And then you ask that kid who is grown up on 20% of what an urban kid has grown up on, you're going to call him and ask him to compete with a kid from the city. There's no way that's going to happen. So I think parity has to be given in every way. Parity has to be given in terms of purchasing power. Parity has to be brought about in terms of earning. And then parity has to be brought about in terms of education, healthcare, and all of these. And then we can truly exploit your demographic dividend. Otherwise, the 60% which is sitting in a rural setting is not going to compete with your 40% which is sitting in the urban city.